So today we are making veggie burgers. With that, I'm making my own buns. So I'm just getting my veggie prep ready. It's a little early in the day. However, I'm using my oven now, and I'm not wanting to do this 100 times. So I am cutting up one pretty large white onion. Yeah, I'm actually using onion. If I was using shallots, I'd probably use 2 shallots at this point. I would prefer to use a half a cup of fresh broccoli and a half a cup of fresh cauliflower, or just a whole cup of either. But I didn't have that. I had frozen broccoli cauliflower medley, about a cup combined. So I've got that in my bowl. I've got about 7 really nice mushrooms here. So I'm just going to do a rough chop on those and throw them in my bowl, which I will show you my bowl in a minute. I'm going to be adding 2 cloves of garlic. And I do have a can of black beans that are rinsed and draining. So let's get all my prep done and in the bowl. Got onion in my eye, and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so I've added some carrots. I didn't have regular sized big people carrots. I had baby carrots that I had purchased. So I'd say half a bag of those. Otherwise, 3 to 4 carrots. I did chop up a small zucchini just into pieces here. And so there's zucchini, garlic, onions, carrots, mushrooms, broccoli, cauliflower, and there's going to be black beans. I don't want to do a straight bean burger. I do like vegetables. The mushrooms are going to give it a nice meatiness, and so forth. I should have mentioned in the beginning, I do have a half a cup of quinoa that I had previously soaked, boiling on the stove. So 2 parts water to 1 part of your quinoa. You can use rice instead. I would use a brown rice for this. I don't have brown rice. I like quinoa. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get this in the food processor, and we'll see you in just a sec. Okay, so I want to pulse this, but I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil, probably about 2 tablespoons total, but I couldn't fit all my veg in, so I'm separating it. So I'm going to do about 1 tablespoon of olive oil in here, and we're going to give it a quick pulse. I turn it on. Yeah. That looks good. Remember, always shut it off before you start tampering and moving things again, okay? So we're going to empty this back into the glass bowl and do our second load. Okay, our second load's in. So we're going to do another tablespoon of olive oil. And we're going to pulse. Shut it off, and we'll empty it into the bowl. Okay, so we're going to pour the rest of the mixture. So it's not like a paste. I am going to bake this at 375 for 15 minutes after I've got all my spices in the oven, and I'm going to bake it on a Silpat sheet. If you don't have a Silpat sheet, you can definitely use parchment paper. Man, my homemade buns went off the timer. Alright, so we pulled those out. I will show you those before. I've done recipes for them before. But anyways, there is some water-based veg in here, right? You've got the zucchini and the mushrooms, so it going in the oven is going to cook out. Otherwise, if I tried to do this in the frying pan after forming raw veg burgers, it's just going to fall apart. So I need this to cook for a bit. So I'm going to be generous with my salt. I'd say probably a good teaspoon of salt. I'd say the same for black pepper. I'm like such a fan of black pepper, it's not even funny. But moving on, I could have purchased, plant-based burgers or vegetarian burgers. Side note, I'm also using lemon pepper. About a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. I could have purchased this from the store. My husband really actually likes veggie burgers. Like when we go to a restaurant, that's his thing, veggie burgers. But yo, then he'll put bacon on it. Like real bacon. You know, one kind of defeats the other. Just saying. Okay. And I'm going to add some paprika to it. I really like it. It adds a little bit of a kick, like this particular one. It's McCormick. I got it from Costco. You get most of everything from Costco. And if you want some chili powder, I don't have any. I could do the whole cumin and turmeric and just all that fun stuff. Can you tell it's still quarantine and kids are home? So just give this a really good mix. I'm going to put this in my preheated oven on a silpat sheet or parchment lined, if you have, not wax paper, for 15 minutes and just get this nice and kind of baked through. So I'm going to get it on a tray and we'll see you in a sec. Okay, so I've got it all spread out in this silpat. Don't forget, this is all vegetables, right? So as vegetables cook, they also reduce in size. And I'm hoping to cook out some of the liquid from the zucchini and the mushrooms. So you could also add spinach. I'd rather top my burger with spinach. Just saying. So in the oven these go for 15 minutes. Okay, now in this bowl I have my black beans, and I'm literally just going to give them the tiniest squish to break them apart. If I put them in the food processor, they're going to get really gummy, really mucky. I'm going to bake them still anyways when the other veggies come out, but I just want to break these up ever so slightly. Okay, so just a little bit of pressure here. I still want to know that I'm eating a bean. Okay? And just like that, and I'm going to put them on a silpat line tray and throw them in the oven as well for about 15 minutes. I changed my mind. I'm not going to line the beans on a silpat or parchment paper. I'm going to try my new Curtis Stone bakeware, and I'm not going to line it with anything because the whole point of the DuraPan technology is it's supposed to not burn. We're going to put you to the test, Mr. Stone. So my homemade buns are out of the oven. They are soft, they are pillowy, they smell delicious. I have my quinoa here cooling, and now we're just waiting for stuff in the oven. Okay, so my stuff is out of the oven. It looks and smells delicious. It is a little wet, but that's okay because we're going to, the quinoa's in here, and that's going to help be the binder, as well as some eggs and the tiniest bit of breadcrumbs to hold it all together. So I'm going to get this in the pan, and then we'll see how Mr. Curtis Stone, well, this is also a Curtis Stone bake tray. However, I do have a silpat, so we're going to check the beans to see if they are nice and dry but not burnt. Okay, so pulling out the beans, they do look lovely. Now remember, there's nothing underneath, so let's see if they come out or if I'm gonna have a hot mess. Wow, they look cooked all the way through, and then look at that. Okay, so let's see. Nothing sticks. Wow, Mr. Curtis Stone, I think I like your pots and pans. All right, let's give this a mix and then come back. Everything is all nice and mixed and evenly incorporated. I'm going to give it a taste. I'm going to taste it now because there are no eggs in here as yet. This is still way too hot for me to put eggs in. I can still feel the steam coming out, and if I put eggs in now, they're not going to be a binder. They're going to turn into scrambled eggs and gross. So I'm going to taste it now just to see if I feel like I'm missing anything. It's nice. There's a paprika. We're gonna go with a tiny bit of salt and some more black pepper. Probably heavy on the pepper. So this is nice and yummy. Has a little bit of a kick to it. Totally digging that. I go heavy on black pepper for a lot of things, but better with the black pepper than it is the salt. I'm gonna let this hang out here and chill for about an hour. I mean, at this point for me it's only 20 to 3 in the afternoon, so I usually don't start my like cooking until like 4:30. I'm gonna let this chill. To it I'm gonna add 2 eggs and probably about a half a cup of breadcrumbs. I will film that part, and then I'm going to fry it in my Curtis stone pan, which I don't think I need oil for, but you people might. So we're gonna let this hang out, cool down, and we'll see you in like an hour. Okay, so this is a little warm, but pretty much cool. To it I'm gonna add 2 eggs. Now, full disclosure, one of the eggs is just like a little bit of egg because I used it to make bread. So I'm gonna work relatively fast here just because the egg is so cold and the mixture is a little warm. I don't want things to scramble. Okay, so once this is all nice and mixed, I'm going to add a half a cup of breadcrumbs, and again, you can use seasoned breadcrumbs if you want. We make our own. I think I say that in like every video. That looks like half a cup. Let's give it a mix. Okay, so we're gonna mix this up, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I added in just the tiniest little sprinkle, so I'd say half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, depending on how wet this is. So I'm going to pan fry these in my Curtis Stone DuraPan stuff. So I'm hoping to not have to add any oil to it. But because there's eggs in it, once everything's cooked, I'm going to transfer it to a Silpat lined bake tray, and then, because it is only 3:45, about 10 minutes or so before we eat, I'm just going to throw it in the oven for about 10 minutes just to warm it through and make sure everything is blessed and good to go. So I'm going to show you forming one. So I'm going to make some generous. That's still too wet for my liking. It's still too wet for my liking. I know it's vegetables and it's going to cook out and such, but we're still going to add, we're going to go with a full cup here, total, of breadcrumbs. Washing my hands as to not to cross-contaminate. Let's put that in. Okay. It's a little too wet for my liking. So we're going to say this recipe is a full cup of breadcrumbs. Yeah, these feel better. So there's going to be some girth, to my burgers. Because they're vegetables, right? They're vegetables and they're beans, and I want a big, thick burger. I mean, it's vegetables and beans. So I'm going to make these big. Hopefully they'll fit my buns. I'm not going to. Okay. And you can make these whatever size you want, but I'm going to, she's heavy. Anyways, I'm going to throw this in the pan and we'll take a look, okay? Alright, let's make another one. Probably do, because they're so big, 2 in my pan at a time. You don't want to overcrowd your pan here, okay? Because if you do, first of all, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to flip them, and you will guarantee to break things and they will fall apart on you. Now, just because they're big, I'm also smooshing them out a little bit because I do want them uniform, right? Like, I don't want a thick part here and a thin part here because I want them to cook as evenly as possible, despite that they're vegetables and they're pretty much already cooked. Now, you can top this with whatever cheese you want. I'm not having any cheese. The kids will probably want American or cheddar. So probably do that. So in the pan she goes. Okay, I'm gonna get the rest of these formed and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so my burgers have been cooking for about 4 minutes on medium high. There is legit no oil in my Firestone pan here. And I'm going to, gosh, hope they don't fall apart. Let's see. Alright, well, that's not bad. They are quite heavy. So there's a little bit of crackage, but I'm not too worried about that. Just means I need to make them not as heavy. So I'm going to let them go for another 4 minutes on this side, and then I'm going to transfer them to my Silpat lined baking tray, and I'm going to throw them in a 350-degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Now I am making 8 burgers here. I will have excess burger patties, so I'm not going to cook them. What I'm going to do is individually wrap them and freeze them in a seal-tight Ziploc container, and then this way when I'm home and I want lunch, I can just take one out and kind of do the same thing here, and then I don't have to worry about my protein for lunch that day. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these made. Okay, so they're all individually wrapped here in saran wrap. And then I'm going to put them in a zip and seal bag and throw these in the freezer. So when I would like a protein for lunch and I don't feel like eggs, I've already had my shake for the day and tuna just isn't going to cut it, I will have a lettuce wrap burger, vegetable burger. So just finishing off searing the last little bit of the burgers. I've got my tray here, got my oven preheated, and I'm going to throw them in for 10 to 15 minutes. I lied. Look, I found 2 more. Well, and if you're wondering about the baby burgers, I made a baby bun for my toddler because he likely won't... Terrible lighting. Let's see if I can get the... Oh, there we go. He likely won't eat more than that for a veggie burger, and he likes to dissect his food. He's very much a, you know, deconstructed type of eater. So still very soft, very lovely, smells wonderful. So he's going to have the little baby slider, and he essentially eats everything we do, so good way to get your kids to eat your veg. Okay, we're in the home stretch, I swear. So simple tomato, avocado, cucumber salad. I'm going to be generous with the dried oregano because I like it. A splash of vinegar. That's it. Olive oil. Like a tablespoon and a bit. Black pepper to taste. Tiny bit of salt. And then a little hand crumble of some feta. This is going to get mixed up, and then we're going to show you the burgers. Okay, so here are the burgers. Yeah, that's what they're going to look like before topping them. They look delicious. These ones are to go. They are for my uncles. On the homemade buns, so the veggie burgers on the homemade buns, and then to top it off we've got shallots, some sliced avocado, some pickle, some baby spinach, and then I just charred some bell pepper to go on top. No oil, no nothing. So once these are cool, I'll move it to the other dish. But there you go, veggie burgers a la me. I don't know. Cheers. Enjoy.